Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a really fundamental question. What actually is money? To truly grasp the financial world, we have to start at the absolute foundation. And to do that, well, I want you to join me in a kind of strange thought experiment. Imagine someone walks right up to you and hands you a small rectangular piece of paper. It's got some specific numbers on it, maybe some colors and symbols. Now, ask yourself, would you trade an hour of your hard, valuable work for that little piece of paper? Would you exchange the food you literally just grew for it? Let's push the absurdity just a bit further. Would you exchange a brand new, highly complex, expensive laptop for it? Most of us would say yes without even a second thought. I mean, people do this every single day, all over the world. But think about it. You can't eat this paper. You can't wear it. You certainly can't build a house out of it. Yet our entire global economy revolves around getting more of it. So why? Well, the crucial point is this. Money has value simply because people believe it has value. Now, I know that might sound almost too simple. Actually, scratch that. It might even feel a little disappointing if you were expecting some wildly complex mathematical formula. But stick with me through this explainer, because I promise to show you exactly why this shared belief, this collective trust, is literally the single most powerful force in economics. To really understand why this trust matters so much, we gotta look backward. Before money, we had the barter system. And honestly, barter was incredibly inefficient. Imagine you grew wheat, but you needed shoes. You couldn't just go to a store. You had to wander around trying to find someone who not only made shoes, but specifically wanted your wheat at that exact moment. It was a logistical nightmare. The monetary system stepped in and provided this elegant, frictionless solution. Money just acts as a universal middleman. But introducing money created a brand new problem. Why would anyone accept it in the first place? Try a little Socratic questioning on yourself here. Imagine being the very first person in history asked to hand over your perfectly good, tangible pair of shoes for a handful of paper. You'd probably look at them and ask, what on earth am I supposed to do with this? And the answer to that question is the spark of all modern finance. You can use it to buy other things because other people will accept it too. And that brings us to a really foundational concept known as the network effect. Basically, a network effect happens when a system or a tool becomes more useful as more people use and accept it. The crucial takeaway here is that we accept money simply because we expect others to accept it too. The more people who take it, the more useful it gets, which naturally makes even more people want it. It's this massive, powerful, self-reinforcing cycle. A brilliant way to picture this is by using something we interact with every single day, language. Think about it. Language works perfectly because we all collectively agree on the meaning of words. If I say the word apple, you instantly picture a fruit. That's because of a shared social agreement, right? Not because the sound apple somehow naturally looks like a piece of fruit. Well, money works exactly the same way. It works entirely because we collectively agree on its value. All right, moving on to section 1, the 3 pillars of value. Let's look at where this value actually comes from. So there are 3 distinct sources that give our modern money its value: trust, government support, and economic activity. Think of these as the structural beams holding up your bank account, your salary, and really the entire global economy. If you want to leave this explainer significantly smarter than when you started, understanding these 3 pillars is absolutely key. Let's break them down one by one. The very first pillar is trust. When you accept money today, you're trusting that someone else is going to accept it tomorrow. It's really that simple, yet completely profound. Every single grocery store, the bank holding your life savings, the employer paying your wages, they are all operating entirely on this invisible foundation of shared confidence. Most people don't realize that without trust, this whole machine literally grinds to a halt instantly. The second pillar is government support, which brings us to a term you've probably heard thrown around: fiat currency. Fiat money gets its value because governments officially declare it legal tender, meaning it's recognized by law to settle debts. But how does a government actually enforce this in the real world? Well, through taxes. Governments demand that you pay your taxes in their national currency. Right away, this creates massive, widespread demand. Workers need it to pay taxes, businesses need it, investors need it. That tax requirement instantly locks in the currency's usefulness across the entire nation. And the third pillar is economic activity.
The fundamental rule here is that holding money is holding purchasing power. This is a huge mindset shift for anyone learning about finance. Because let's be honest, we don't actually want the paper itself, do we? We want the food, the housing, the transportation, and the healthcare that real economic activity produces. Money is valuable simply because it's the universally accepted key that unlocks our ability to claim those real-world goods and services.
Okay, let's pivot to section 2, misconceptions and realities. Time to debunk a few common myths. Probably the biggest myth out there is that money has to be backed by gold. A lot of people still believe there's some heavily guarded vault out there with a shiny gold bar matching the exact numbers in their savings account. And, while this was historically true under the old gold standard, it is absolutely no longer the case. Today, major currencies like the US dollar, the euro, the Japanese yen, they are purely fiat currencies. They're backed entirely by the trust and government institutions we just talked about, not by physical gold. Another massive point of confusion is the difference between digital money and physical cash. A lot of beginners kind of think digital money isn't real. What most people don't realize is that when you check your bank balance on your phone, there's no physical cash sitting in a little cubby with your name on it. It's purely an electronic record showing ownership. But here is the absolutely critical takeaway. Both screen balances and paper bills work on the exact same principle. They both rely 100% on institutional trust. So yes, digital money is just as real and functions the exact same way as paper cash.
Now, I really want you to focus on this next concept because it clears up a monumental mistake beginners make in economics. We have to clearly separate money from wealth. Money is merely a claim on wealth. Actual real-world wealth, that comes from productive resources, factories, human skills, technology, infrastructure, business innovation. Money just makes it easier to exchange those things. A giant stack of paper money sitting isolated in an empty room produces absolutely nothing on its own.
Which leads us perfectly into this pretty stark economic reality. If a country just prints more money without actually increasing its production, it leads straight to inflation. This is exactly why a government can't just make a country rich overnight by firing up the money printers. Simply printing more paper doesn't magically build more factories, it doesn't educate more workers or invent better technology. It literally just creates more paper chasing the exact same amount of real-world goods. And when that happens, it drives prices straight up. All right, section 3, the island economy thought experiment. Let's see what happens when this whole system is really put to the test. Imagine a small, thriving island economy. At step 1, we have total trust. Everyone happily accepts the island's currency, businesses are booming, the economy is running smoothly. But then, step 2 happens. Belief changes. Let's say a rumor starts spreading like wildfire that the currency is going to be completely worthless by next year. Almost instantly, we hit step 3, refusal to accept. Workers demand to be paid in actual goods, businesses straight up stop taking the cash. Which leads inevitably to step 4, total system collapse. Now pay attention to this. The physical paper itself hasn't changed at all. The ink and the cotton are exactly the same as they were yesterday. But because trust vanished, the entire economy breaks down. And guys, this isn't just some hypothetical island scenario. This is exactly what economists call hyperinflation. It's the terrifying real-world consequence when prices rise extremely rapidly and confidence in a currency just entirely collapses. In some extreme historical cases, money has lost its value hourly. People would get their paychecks and literally sprint to the store to spend it instantly before the price of basic food doubled. It proves, without a shadow of a doubt, that stable currencies absolutely depend on public trust. So as we bring all the core pieces of this explainer together, I want you to remember this one quote. Money works because billions of people collectively agree that it works. That shared social belief, supported by government systems and real economic output, is the true bedrock of our entire global financial system. I know it might sound like a massive illusion of paper, but it is actually an incredibly functional, globally recognized agreement that allows human civilization to trade, build, and prosper. But that leaves us with an incredibly important, kind of lingering question. If money has value today, why does it often buy less over time? I mean, think about your own life. Why did a cup of coffee or a house cost so much less 30 years ago than it does today? Why does your purchasing power seem to continuously shrink as the years go by? Which brings us to the ultimate question on our final slide. What exactly is inflation? Once you truly understand the mechanics of inflation, you'll uncover the invisible force that directly affects your savings, your investments, and your everyday financial life. It is absolutely the next critical step in your financial literacy journey, and I highly encourage you to seek out our next explainer to master it. Until then, keep questioning exactly how the financial world works around you.